What's up, everybody? Tim Anderson here, aka Renfail, and today we're back. We're back with episode 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm going to be talking about this in its entirety. Before we get going any further, remember this is a spoiler full, not spoiler free. So if you don't want spoilers, if you don't want to know anything about the show, walk away now. Fair warning, once again, let me repeat that. I will absolutely be talking about all the things in this show, so if you don't want things spoiled, walk away. All right, you've had plenty of opportunities. We'll give a few more seconds for people to duck out if they want to. Three, two, one. All right, episode 5 is an episode of revelations. Now let's think about that. Revelations. That's going to play a big part in today's revelations. There's a lot of good stuff that happened in this episode. It didn't ramp up the action like the previous two episodes did, but we did get a lot of story conclusion in this episode, and it makes sense because we're getting to the final act. We got one episode left, so we're in the last third of the show at this point. So they have to give us some, they have to throw us some bones at this point, and they did throw quite a few bones. There's a lot going on here in this episode, so we're just going to dive in. So let's go. I'm loving the fact that, as we've said in the previous episode, the growing relationship between Leia and Obi-Wan, which does lend sort of credence as to why she and Han named their son Ben in the first place, but also, the whole, oh, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. The fact that she goes to him for Episode 4, A New Hope. But probably one of my favorite aspects of this episode was the fact that we immediately get into a flashback sequence with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and we see both Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor reprising their roles from before as the actors that they are today. And we get a lightsaber duel. Now, the cool thing about this lightsaber duel is it plays out over time over the course of this episode in a series of flashback sequences, but it's from the perspective of um, Anakin. So previously we've seen Obi-Wan as the person having most of the flashbacks, but this one is all about Anakin. And the flashback plays a really unique part of the storyline for this episode, and you'll understand it by the time we get to the end, but it does take a little bit to get there. So as he's having this flashback, Anakin is having this duel with Obi-Wan, and then the third sister comes. And I was just reminded here as he's talking, the fact that they got James Earl Jones back to do the voice was really cool. And this scene is sort of pivotal because he does promote her to Grand Inquisitor, which is a moment that a lot of people had been sort of waiting for with her character. Now, we're back to the refugees at this point, and as the refugees are getting ready to leave, and we're being told that this, that, and the other is happening, the other coming, etc. Um, I kind of felt like this is one of those recycled and reused plot points from previous Star Wars projects, in the sense that we've always got like the refugees trying to leave, and something's going to be going on to stop them from leaving. It This is one of those moments where the episode felt a little weak, but it is what it is. I understand that sometimes you got to reuse stuff to get to the good stuff. Um, we're back on Vader's ship at this point, and there's a sequence here where Darth Vader says, when he's talking about attacking the facility, he's like, "It's not them we need to break." It shows here that his obsession is Kenobi. That's what's driving everything for him. It's not about the refugees. It's not about all these other things. It's about Kenobi. How can I get Kenobi to come down? Like, how can I break him? And I think a lot of people who have complained about Riva's character and like, there's no way that she would. Why would she be obsessed with Kenobi? So on and so forth. This goes to show you that if you have ever read the extended universe stuff or legacy, whatever they call it these days, Mara Jade's obsession with Luke Skywalker was a tie over for the Emperor. His dark side rage fueled her and made her obsessed with Luke Skywalker. We're seeing the same thing here. Vader's obsession with Obi-Wan Kenobi is fueling Riva and pushing her to the edge. Um, so interesting plot point for those who have been thinking about, well, why would she be so obsessed? This is an explanation of why. It's his obsession, therefore it's become her obsession because of her desire to become the Grand Inquisitor. This obviously plays into something that happens later with Riva's character, which we're going to come back to. So put a footnote in that, because some people who have watched the episode will be going, "But wait a minute, that's what? Yeah, we're get to that here in a minute, so stay tuned. Um, we then go back down to the planet. We see Obi-Wan looking down at the lightsabers and cloaks of the fallen Jedi for the path, and this steely gaze coming over his face as he sort of starts to to grips with reality finally. And as the siege is starting, he gets this comment that Vader's going to attack next because he doesn't have the patience for a siege. And now suddenly we're flashing back to that lightsaber duel between the two of them from years before, where Obi-Wan is teaching a lesson of patience versus aggression. And of course, Anakin's not listening during the sequence, and then we're suddenly flashing back to Vader again, looking down at the planet and saying, attack, because again, it's that sequence where it's a lightsaber duel about patience versus aggression. And obviously, during the course of the lightsaber sequence, Anakin is being overly aggressive, and so in a way they're both sort of remembering that particular lesson, but it's definitely Anakin who's having the flashback as opposed to Obi-Wan, although Obi-Wan seems to be remembering some things as well. This is when we also get Obi-Wan finally going into speech-making mode for the first time in a long time. Like, he's giving directions, he's giving orders, telling everybody this is what you need to do, this, that, and the other, because we need to defend. We got to hold them off, and that'll give us time to escape. So it's really nice to see him being the general once again. And then we get to this sequence, which again, I'm starting to feel like some of these things are making these episodes a little weaker. And again, we get little Leia going off into the ducts to try to fix the damage that her little robot had done. And this feels a little forced. It feels a little contrived. Um, these are the weak points of the episode where I say if they would just tighten up on some of the writing, this would be a 10 out of 10 for me. But this does bring it down a little bit. Um, we're now getting this pre-recorded message from Bail Organa that Obi-Wan is listening to, where Bail's like, "Hey, I haven't heard from you. I hope everything's okay. Because if it's not, then he's probably found out about the kids, and I'm gonna have to go to Tatooine and save Luke and help Owen." And I kind of wondered why we were getting this message, and towards the end of the episode, you're going to understand why. But obviously, this causes it causes Obi-Wan to start stressing a little bit because he's like, you know, I got to keep Vader from finding out about the kids. This also, I think, plays into the overall Skywalker saga arc because we obviously know that Vader doesn't find out about the kids until Return of the Jedi. Sister, you have a twin sister, so that secret does stay hidden, but we are shown again the importance of that secret here in this sequence, which is good from a storytelling angle, to tie into everything else. We also get a distraction sequence here, where Obi-Wan decides that he wants to talk to the Inquisitor to try to stall for time. And this is where we get a very crucial plot point that's going to come back to what I said earlier about Riva and revelations. So as Obi-Wan is talking to Riva through the door, we suddenly realize, and we get confirmation of something that many people had wondered about. How did Riva know who Anakin was? Because that was something that Darth Vader kept secret. Um, she was one of the younglings, obviously. And as this is being unveiled, we get this revelation from Obi-Wan. Oh, she's not actually serving Darth Vader. She's hunting Anakin Skywalker. She wants to bring him down. And this spins a whole new light on her desire to become the Grand Inquisitor and her obsession for finding Kenobi. Because it is an obsession, but it's not necessarily just because it's Anakin's obsession. She's using it because it's Anakin's obsession, because she knows that if she can find Kenobi and bring him in, that will give her the chance to finally destroy Vader and destroy Anakin, and find vengeance for her fallen younglings and all her friends. And this is where Obi-Wan starts to try to manipulate her. And it's kind of, it's like this is the general again coming back in, where Kenobi's not afraid to use the resources at his disposal, which also shows that he's willing to, do a little dark side shady shit as well to try to manipulate other people into doing things. But it's a good sequence from a storytelling perspective. We do get confirmation of Riva's background. Um, and when he sees that thing, oh, you're not serving him, you're hunting him. And it was like that revelation was like, oh, I had to pause. I was like, oh, okay, so this puts a whole new spin on things. Um, so, yeah, cool. Anyway, lots of stuff happens here. She's like, screw you, I'll do it on my own. Door opens. Obi-Wan does a force push, pushes her back. There's lightsaber action here. They get pushed back into the tunnel. And the spy character, what is it? Tala, I believe is her name, is her character. She obviously doesn't make it, and we knew that was coming. I knew that she was going to be a sacrifice character from the beginning because she's an agent, and agents always fall. But there is it's a good scene, where she holds them off and gives everybody time to get out. But she does obviously fall, and when this happens, Kenobi looks completely broken, and this is when Vader tells the troops to stand down and says, "Kenobi is already ours." And then we're flashing back to the lightsaber duel, and Kenobi saying, um, "It's over. I'm going back." And he's having this moment of, I need to surrender or he's going to keep coming after all these people. And he's flashing back to that lightsaber sequence. And during the lightsaber sequence, at this point in the flashback, Obi-Wan loses his lightsaber. Anakin thinks he's won. And he's gloating, standing over. I said gloating. He's gloating, standing over Obi-Wan. And then we're back to the reality, and Obi-Wan's like, I'm going to surrender myself to Vader, and I'm going to go up to the ship. And then he tries to manipulate Riva again, and he's like, I'm bringing him to you. This isn't over yet. He'll only see me. It's your chance." And we're back to the flashback again, and Obi-Wan is, preaching to Anakin about your need for victory, blinds you, as he knocks Obi-Wan's, excuse me, as he knocks the lightsaber away, and we get this sequence too where Vader says, "I'll bring him in myself." And so you get a sense that, oh yeah, Vader's not just obsessed with him, it's also the Emperor who's obsessed with it, because Vader is feeling the pull of the Emperor and that need to bring him in. So yeah. The scene with Leia realizing her baby bot is rigged felt kind of meh at this point, but it is what it is. Um, Anyways, before we get going further, I'd love to say, if you're liking this review, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get further updates on this show and the other shows that I review. Don't forget, you can also support with a super thanks down below if you want to support me as a content creator. I also stream every single day, so you can join the streams and drop super chats and stickers on those. You can also join as a member of the Adventurers Guild, and check out the Patreon page for the World of the Weave and the Void that my brother, my wife, and I are building. It's 5th edition tabletop setting. There's a book series as well as a point-and-click adventure game, so check that out. Let's dive back into the rest of the review here. Um, we get this scene now where the Vader comes down. Riva says he's captured, and Vader starts going down this tunnel, and he gets to this scene, and the transport ship's about to take off. And we see Obi-Wan running down the tunnel, so we realize that Obi-Wan's loose. So Riva doesn't actually have him captured, so she's sending Darth Vader into a trap. Obi-Wan's running through. They get everybody on the ship. They leave, and then as the ship is leaving, Darth Vader is like, he goes to force pull the ship down. Really cool sequence. He pulls the ship down and starts shredding it apart with the force, only to see through the viewport there's another ship that's taking off. And he realizes that he's been tricked. And then right at this moment, Riva sneaks up behind him and tries to kill him. And oh yeah, that doesn't pan out like she thought. Um, this lightsaber sequence, this lightsaber duel is really cool. Um, but before we get to the lightsaber duel, there's a part I forgot. I just saw my notes and realized that I forgot about it. So as the ship departs and Vader realizes he's been tricked, we're back to the lightsaber sequence again. And Obi-Wan was without his lightsaber, and Anakin had knocked his lightsaber away, and Anakin thought he had won the duel. And then suddenly we see Obi-Wan pulling a trick and pulling Anakin's lightsaber to him with a force pull, and telling him, your constant need for victory is what's distracting you, and I won. And we see Vader looking up in the sky and realizing that Anakin beat him again. And you could see the struggle within Vader that's still going on about this little kid who needs to win. He has to win. And he keeps screwing up because that need for victory causes him to make mistakes. So it's a really cool sequence. So now he's pissed off. Riva attacks. Of course, Riva gets her ass kicked. It is a cool lightsaber sequence. Um, and as he stabs her. He's like, "Did you really think that I didn't see this coming, youngling?" And as that's happening, guess what? The original Grand Inquisitor is back, and we realize that it's all been a ploy this whole time. Revenge does wonders for the will to live, don't you think? That line made me laugh. Rupert Friend's character is so good. He's doing a really good job in this show. So obviously, for those of us who know about the character of the Grand Inquisitor, we knew he wasn't going to die in this show. It is what it is. We knew it was part of the plot line. Something was going on. We didn't know exactly what, but we did know that he wasn't going to die. Now I was kind of confused why they left her alive, and she's laying there in the dirt, and they're off on the transport shit. She's in the dirt, ship, not shit, transport ship. She's laying in the dirt, and then the camera pans over, and she sees Obi-Wan's transponder with Bail Organa, and it's broken, but it's flashing, laying there in the dirt. And Obi-Wan's on the ship going, "Oh snap, I feel like something's wrong." And then we get a flashback to Riva, and she's listening to the message. It's broken up, but she does hear Owen, Tatooine, the kids, Luke, and she's remembering that Owen character. I remember him. Something must be going on there because Obi-Wan was on the planet. He must have been on the planet. Owen was hiding something. Oh, and it's all coming together. So it's not done yet. And I'm wondering how this is going to play into Obi-Wan's return to being the hermit living on Tatooine at this point. Anyway, lots of good stuff in this episode. Obviously, we're not at the end yet, and we got one more episode to go. I felt like this was a really solid episode. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. It's not my favorite episode of the season, but it is a very good storytelling episode because we get conclusion to a lot of things, we get revelations for a lot of things, and we're obviously moving towards the end stage at this point with one more episode to go. It's looking good. I had fun. Hopefully you had fun as well. Drop your comments down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all those good things. Drop a super thanks if you want to, and I'll see everybody in the next episode.